Hello, and welcome to the 2021 Iowa Hunger Summit, organized by the World Food Prize Foundation. This year, we celebrate the 15th anniversary of the summit, which has brought together over 10,000 Iowans since its inception in 2006. The Iowa Hunger Summit is an annual event focusing on food security challenges right here at home. This year's summit centers around the food system transformations that must take place in Iowa in order to eradicate hunger and food insecurity across Iowa. The event takes place virtually this year to increase accessibility to leaders from across Iowa, representing our citizens, business and industry sectors, social agencies, and state and local governments. Through critical dialogue sessions, participants will work together to envision what healthy food for all really looks like in Iowa. We are so pleased that you have joined us to discuss urgently important challenges facing so many in the state of Iowa.
Welcome to the 2021 Iowa Hunger Summit. Here at the World Food Prize Foundation, we recognize that hunger is inextricably linked to structures in the social, political, and economic landscape where we live. It's our goal to discuss those structures today, to get specific about the challenges facing Iowans, and to enumerate how we must transform our local food system. The foundation established the Iowa Hunger Summit in 2006 with former Iowa governors Robert D. Ray, Terry Branstad, and Tom Vilsack, all serving as honorary co-chairs. It was a bipartisan effort to create a collaborative space to address hunger issues right here in Iowa. The first Iowa Hunger Summit took place in 2007. The new Iowa governor, Chet Culver, joined us for that inaugural event. We also honored Nobel Peace Prize laureate and our founder, Dr. Norman E. Borlaug. It was a special gathering for him, and one that he would be so honored continues as a time-honored tradition. The Iowa Hunger Summit gathers leaders from across Iowa, representing community organizations, businesses, industry representatives of all types, state and local governments, social service agencies, churches, and all kinds of religious organizations, schools and universities, and individuals working, participating, and leading projects to confront hunger. Today, we are honored to host the 15th Annual Iowa Hunger Summit, focusing on transformations within our own food systems and the changes needed to end hunger and food insecurity in our state. This event will offer the opportunity to engage in dialogue and foment ideas around the need for access to healthy food for all. We must work together towards more just, fair, and equitable food systems for everyone. Just like the theme for the upcoming Borlaug Dialogue, this summit is focused on understanding and harnessing those transformations that are needed to build a sustainable food system in this state and across the world. We have experienced such upheaval in the last 18 months. Governments, businesses, NGOs, and people everywhere are experimenting to meet the challenges of 2020 that we're still experiencing today in 2021. We know that half measures are not enough. We must learn to adapt quickly and scale up new solutions due to COVID and climate change and because of the derecho and droughts we're experiencing. Achieving healthy food for all is not a simple path. We must deal with the root societal causes preventing Iowans from accessing and eating healthy food every day. We hope this summit will advance the work going on and spark further action in our state. Whether you're joining us on social media or through our virtual conference platform, we're so thankful for your participation. We encourage you to use the chat feature on all the platforms and use hashtag #IAHungerSummit21 to share your voice. It's my pleasure to welcome Kyle Poorman, our new Director of International Dialogues and head of the Iowa Hunger Summit. His experience with local and global food security issues is invaluable to our team. Kyle is an Iowan, but he has lived and worked all over the world. He started his professional career focused on the socioeconomic impacts of climate change with the U.S. government, but he's worked on a host of global agriculture issues, often with a climate focus, including with the United Nations and Iowa State University. Kyle is eager to work with all of you as we aim to transform our food systems to nourish every Iowan. Please welcome Kyle Poorman.
Thank you, Barbara. and welcome everyone to Des Moines for this virtual 15th anniversary of the Iowa Hunger Summit. We would love to welcome you all in person, but this virtual format really has some great advantages. First of all, we can connect with people across our great state, across our great country, and across this wonderful world of ours. We're streaming on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, our website, and Whova, our conference platform. Just a little bit about the Whova conference platform. It's a great place to connect, to chat, to talk with other attendees, post pictures, jobs, funding opportunities, the list goes on. And we filled it out with great resources. I'm just going to call out one now. Our youth team put together an excellent discussion guide for all ages, but we focused it on students. Just a little bit about our theme for this Iowa Hunger Summit. It really boils down to the term transformations. We have been so inspired by the transformations that have occurred in our food system to feed hungry people due to COVID-19, the derecho, which was local to our state of Iowa. We would like to harness those experimentations, adaptation, and yes, transformation to deal with the root causes of hunger. So our summit today is designed to be on the cutting edge of the debate, the cutting edge of the discussion, and foment action. And we've done that by setting up several sessions that are going to be just amazing. And it starts off with Janie Sims-Hipp, our keynote speaker, who needs no introduction. And then we transfer into a transformations roundtable. My tongue's a little tied there, can you tell? And then we go to a fireside chat on nutrition-sensitive food systems in Iowa. We have 4 breakout sessions, and then we're ending with a racial equity panel, which is going to be phenomenal. But before we do all that, we're going to hear 2 great messages from our partners and our signature sponsor in the Iowa Farm Bureau, President Craig Hill, and additionally, the governor of this great state of Iowa, Kim Reynolds.
Hello, I'm Craig Hill, President of the Iowa Farm Bureau Federation, and I'm honored to welcome you to the 2021 Iowa Hunger Summit. This is the 15th anniversary of this esteemed event that brings together people from across the state with different backgrounds, experiences, and ideas to address a critical topic, hunger. Feeding America tells us nearly 300,000 Iowans are facing hunger every day, with more than 94,000 of them being children. And that's 1 in 8 Iowa youth, and that's simply too many. Hunger can be found everywhere, in places we live and work, in urban communities and in rural areas. It can be found in the young, whose only meals may be during school. It can be found in the homes of people who work multiple jobs to provide for their families, but are still faced with the decision between buying food or paying this month's electricity bill. And in worse cases, some families are choosing between food and medical care. Hunger is more than a feeling in your stomach, telling you it's time to eat your next meal. Hunger is a child who cannot focus in class because empty cupboards mean skipping breakfast. Hunger is someone living in a food desert where grocery stores that sell affordable, healthy food are not easily accessible. Hunger could also be described as a lack of important nutrients in the diet, those needed for brain development, immunity, and the proper body function. Shelter, clothing, and of course food. These are basic needs and the foundation of personal security, health, and belonging. Without them, people are simply surviving, and that's not the life Iowans or anyone deserves. Hunger is not a product of a single problem and cannot be eradicated through a single solution. The layers to hunger, social, economic, and educational structures need to be transformed for change to occur. Iowa Farm Bureau recognizes these everyday challenges facing Iowans, and recent events have created heightened awareness of food insecurity, infiltrating our communities and affecting our neighbors. COVID-19 put enormous stress on food pantries across Iowa. In June of 2020, the Food Bank of Iowa distributed more food in 1 month than ever before, a 55% increase over June of 2019. And while organizations and individuals stepped up to fill the need, including the Iowa Farm Bureau and our 100 county offices, through our donation of 1 million meals to the Iowa Food Bank, and we know the pandemic continues to have a lasting impact on hungry Iowans across the state. On August 10th, 2020, a derecho swept through Iowa, displacing thousands of Iowans from their homes and putting additional stress on those who are already faced with hardships. Housing services in Cedar Rapids reported their call volume, usually around 150 calls per week, increased to more than 300 per day following the storm's devastation. No matter what challenges are impacting our world, our nation, our state, or local communities, Iowans deserve access to healthy food every day. Iowa Farm Bureau is committed to ending hunger in Iowa and building a food system that provides access to healthy food for all. And that's why we're all here today, because we all share that critical and significant goal. The Iowa Hunger Summit is a collaborative space, a space to address hunger right here in our state. Today, you'll learn from hunger advocates how to enact meaningful change by understanding how our food systems falter, the need for quality food, the effects of hunger on children, achieving racial equity within the food system, building partnerships through healthcare, and the barriers facing food donations. I hope through these learning and networking opportunities we'll see breakthrough ideas from the passionate minds present here today that will begin to transform our food system and make it more accessible and equitable for Iowans everywhere. Eradicating hunger and nourishing our state should be the top priority, and high praise should be given to those who are finding new solutions, creating new partnerships, and forging new paths to achieve that goal. I commend you in your efforts, and I thank you for being part of these important conversations today.
Welcome to the Iowa Hunger Summit, celebrating 15 years of bringing together the state's brightest minds to discuss solutions to food insecurity. The last 2 years have required President Stenson and her team at the World Food Prize Foundation to find creative ways to continue this important tradition, and I couldn't be more grateful for their commitment and resourcefulness in doing so. I want to also thank Craig Hill and the team at the Iowa Farm Bureau and Farm Bureau Financial Services for sponsoring this event, and even more importantly, for being a reliable friend to Iowa farm families for generations. I'm grateful also to the chairman of the board of directors for the World Food Prize Foundation, John Ruin III, for everything that he's done to bring this summit together. A decade and a half ago, Governors Ray, Branstad, and Vilsack recognized the strength of our state, fertile soils, rich resources, a storied agricultural tradition, and our greatest asset of all, our people. They understood that Iowa was uniquely positioned to make a difference in the fight against food insecurity. That's as true today as it was then. The coronavirus pandemic showcased what Iowa is capable of when it comes to mobilizing to feed a historic number of Iowans in need. We innovated in a variety of programs across our state agencies, from the Department of Education's summer food service programs to the Department of Aging's Iowa Cafe program, and so many more. We also worked with the Healthiest State Initiative to drastically expand our Double Up Food Bucks program, which put healthy fruits and vegetables on countless tables across the state. These efforts required close collaboration and robust public-private partnerships that promise to pay dividends down the road. This massive scale-up to feed hungry Iowans was a tremendous success, but it points to an even more fundamental question going forward. How can we address the root causes of food insecurity? Because today it remains an all too common problem in our state. It's estimated that 1 in 11 Iowans and 1 in 8 children struggle with hunger. These numbers represent an improvement from years past, but they remain unacceptable in a state that's known for feeding the world. There's more we can do, and that's exactly what this summit is all about. about sharing ideas, monitoring progress, and exploring the latest innovations, all with the goal of ending hunger for good. We stand on the shoulders of Iowans who have made a great difference in national and even global food insecurity. George Washington Carver, Jesse Field Shumbaugh, Herbert Hoover, Henry Wallace, and of course, Dr. Norman Borlaug. So thank you for being a part of this noble tradition by joining us virtually today. Iowa's future and the Borlaug legacy are in excellent hands thanks to the creativity and the heart of each of you. Together, I'm confident that we can build a stronger, healthier Iowa and end food insecurity in our state once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you, President Hill. Thank you, Governor Reynolds. Those were somber but optimistic messages. And I was heartened by the fact that both President Hill and Governor Reynolds want to focus on the root causes of food insecurity. Next up, we have our keynote speech with the General Counsel of the USDA and Chickasaw Nation citizen, just all around hunger champion, hunger fighter, Janie Simship. Janie, are you with us today?
I am, and I'm so happy to be with you. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me all right. And I would just give anything if I was there in person and we were all together. These sorts of summits are extremely important to me. I've attended many of them over the years, and I'm so thankful to have been asked to be a part of yours today. So first of all, let me thank the organizers of this year's summit. I'm so honored to be with you virtually. I'm honored to take part in a summit that has at its focus the feeding of people, both in your state and as part of a greater effort around the country and the world to make sure hungry people are fed. I appreciate the messages you've already received from Governor Reynolds, from Barbara, from Kyle, and from the President Craig Hill of the Iowa Farm Bureau leadership. First of all, I send you greetings from Secretary Vilsack. I always feel a little like an interloper when I'm in Iowa speaking to Iowans, which does happen from time to time. It always seems to me that Secretary Vilsack has likely said everything that I'm about to say in 1,000 different ways to each of you at your kitchen tables or in conference rooms or at the renowned Iowa State Fair. But in preparing for today's remarks, I had the opportunity to visit with the World Food Prize team and the Iowa Hunger Summit team. Such a group of amazing professionals, singularly dedicated to the purpose for your summit today. Thank you to those teams for asking me to be with you. Please know that my comments are my own and are not meant to reflect any particular policy at USDA at this time. I received actually this invitation to speak with you before I rejoined USDA, and Barbara and I caught up this morning, and she found out that I was already installed. So it was a surprise to everyone. It's happened very quickly, but I'm extremely happy to be back home at USDA serving the Biden administration, but particularly Secretary Vilsack a second time. We just finished a Feds Feed Families effort. I took part in those efforts when I served previously in the Obama-Biden administration and in the Bush administrations, and I was able to thank our staff for digging deep and organizing feeding opportunities all across the country. For as you know, USDA is everywhere. We are proud to work as we do to feed people, support our nation's farmers and ranchers, focus on rural development, ensuring safety in our food supply, expanding markets for agricultural products, working on issues of climate and conservation, providing loans to rural communities and farmers and ranchers, fighting fires and managing the nation's forests, and so many other things that all of our staff do. The theme today for your summit is transformation in food systems, and I'll switch to some comments about that now. I know your purpose is to focus specifically on Iowa, but I'll also share some thoughts about transformation in food systems more generally, not just in Iowa, but everywhere. For the better part of the last 37 years, I have been working as an agricultural lawyer. I started my own experience working in Oklahoma to help save farmers and ranchers who were facing challenges in the farm financial crisis of the 80s. I saw plenty of hunger then during that time period. It was very traumatic for the state that I lived in. In that work, that I've had for the last 30 some odd years, it's never really stopped, my focus on farmers and ranchers. I became one of those people who see the world through the eyes of a farmer and a rural person and someone who knows the struggle of feeding ourselves, all because those have been a part of my own reality, but they also have surrounded me in my work. As an aside, and as an important aside, please know that I thank Iowans every day. I was honored to have been mentored in my early agricultural law career by Neil Hamilton. Many of you who are joining us today may know him. He was at that time leading the Drake Ag Law Center. He was one of my professors, and his guidance throughout the years has informed my own life and career. I've been a colleague to countless Iowa State professors and ag law professors, and many, many lawyers in your state, such as Dustin Miller, who some of you may know, who, in addition to being fantastic lawyers, always had time and passion for feeding people and working on food insecurity, because that's what Iowans do. And I have seen you all lead in these issues for so many decades. And I have great confidence that you will continue to lead as we all continue to transform food systems and really think more clearly and more deeply about hunger in our midst. Your state is full to the brim with people who care and who work across the aisles and across the pews, as my grandmother would call it, to join together and make a difference in food and agriculture and hunger. Working alongside Secretary Vilsack, not once, but now twice, I am challenged every day to do more and dig deeper to try and solve complex issues around feeding people. In the pandemic last year, we saw significant transformations happening in the blink of an eye, but also, at least I felt, some of them were actually happening in slow motion as well. We went from feeding 30 million people through the Iowa Food Bank pre-pandemic to feeding 60 million people during the pandemic, and that is not unlike what we've seen all over the country, actually all over the world. While the Iowa Food Bank, like so many others across the country, showed significant capacity and capabilities in being able to successfully scale up, it was hard for many frontline workers and volunteers to see that level of hunger and food insecurity. We were left wondering if this was going to be the way it was forever, or if it was going to change back to what it was before. And truth be told, we were in shock. But many of the frontline people I know, people who I have worked alongside in tribal government nutrition departments for decades, these folks are just like you. They see the face of hunger and food insecurity every day, and they are not deterred. That's what transformations are. Periods of time when significant changes happen. And I think it's up to us, all of us, to determine how best to navigate these periods of transformation together. What the last year and a half has forced many around the country to do is to look again more deeply at the root causes of hunger. I've been looking at those root causes within my own communities for decades. Poverty, access to capital, lack of good jobs, remoteness, insidious issues that can keep people seemingly locked in cycles that are hard to emerge from. Today, I understand you have so many workshops and roundtables and fireside chats. I'm really jealous because I would love to stay with you all day long and participate in every one of them. This issue and this conversation is right up my alley, and it's what fuels my life. One of them is involving my dear friends among the Meskwaki people who have been doing some amazing things to transform food systems impacting their communities and to develop food sovereignty that addresses the needs of their people. I also understand you'll be talking about nutrition and nutrition-related diseases, racial equity, gleaning, access to capital. All of these topics have a role in these discussions. All are necessary, as your leaders talked about previously. All are necessary because hunger is such a multifaceted experience. And I'm so happy to see so many varied topics that you'll be talking about today. I personally am always drawn to history, particularly in moments when I feel overwhelmed by everything that is happening today. During the early days of the pandemic, I was on the phone with farmers, ranchers, food businesses, restaurants, food workers, food bank people, all trying their best as fast as they could to align food, keep it growing, keep it being harvested, and keep it traveling to the homes and kitchens and cars of those in need. I saw tremendous generosity, and I also saw a lot of angst. I know you did too. History has taught us many things if we are mindful of its lessons. One of the lessons history teaches us is that our grandparents and our great-grandparents and relatives have all been here before. Many of the early laws that USDA is called upon to administer today actually had their genesis during times or immediately after times of great upheaval or transformation. The World Wars, the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, and on and on and on. Many of the lessons of food insecurity in many communities, such as the community of the Meskwaki people in Iowa, are actually informed by our own ancestors who had to struggle with food access, reimagining their food systems and creating new food security and food systems after times of great upheaval. I acknowledge their history today, and I also acknowledge the history of other peoples who have lived on these lands well before any of us were born. They too had to struggle with food and had to make sure their communities and families were fed and able to move forward positively into the future. What we have seen in the pandemic was a move to put in place key legislation that USDA is still carrying out today. It was designed to bring much needed assistance, but also to put food on the table. I could go through all of those programs right now, but I'm going to refrain from doing that. I think many of you in the audience actually know exactly the types of programs that are still up and running, have been around for a while, but have been mobilized in new and more aggressive ways in order to actually address food insecurity. Pandemic EBT, SNAP benefits, commodity supplemental food programs, WIC, all of these are a part of the fabric of what is needed to actually address food insecurity right now. And we also have stepped up our role at the global level. And I know Barbara will love to hear that, because the United States has always led in the global arena in terms of challenging the proposition of food insecurity, imagining ways that we can have a globe that is made up of people who have food to eat, who have reasonable access to food, and can serve to alleviate the hunger that exists within small pockets of communities around the world, as well as throughout entire countries. That work is extremely complicated. And my hat is off to the work Barbara and her team do in this space. But I will tell you, the United States has some issues here, and we need to focus also on how we can ensure that U.S. citizens from every nook and cranny, every big city, every small community, every remote community have enough food to eat and can get to it easily and equitably. I would love nothing more than to stay with you the entire day, talking with each of you, talking about my passion and my life's work, which is trying to help others feed others. To that end, I want to do a special shout out to our Iowa farmers and ranchers and food people. As I've said many years and many times over the years, I see the world through your eyes. I don't know if I can ever stop doing that. I doubt it. I also see the world through the eyes of rural people, because those are my roots and I know where I'm from and who I am. Transformation is hard. Transforming food systems is even harder. But I hope and pray that today and moving forward, we will all spend the time necessary to think collaboratively, creatively, and to dig deeply, to reach out to one another in new ways, to learn from our ancestors and our relatives who came before us and faced similar challenges, to learn from history, and to do our best to create a world where no child or elder or any of our families suffer from hunger. We all have a special responsibility to one another. Together, we can do anything. But together, I think it is time we focus on what it means to have a truly transformed food system that supports all our farmers and ranchers, who then in turn support our families needing to be fed. We can't leave our farmers out of this equation. That's what transformative work is, though. It takes where we are, it seeks to understand exactly the various facets of what we're facing, and it tries to help us imagine something better, informed by the past, informed by the present, but with our eyes on the horizon and the type of world we want to live for our children and our grandchildren. Thank you for allowing me to be with you today. Those of you who know me know that I can speak about these issues for days and days on end, but I will leave it at that today and wish you the best. You have important work to do, and I can't wait to hear the outcome of the summit and to rejoin you in the future for these important conversations. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Janie. Those words are just so powerful to hear from Janie, to hear her experience, really her focus as farmers and ranchers first, a person who has experience with the Chickasaw tribe and tribes across our great country. Just amazing words from Janie, and we're so happy that she's now the General Counsel of the USDA.